Hi beautiful souls, so we are back to discuss recursions. I'm Shimmery from the Advanced Lightworkers discussion group, and this video forms part of our catch-up series. So what are recursions? We talk about them all the time. In a nutshell, a recursion basically means that there was only ever one story, and anything that plays out in creation is just an echo of that story or a piece of that story busy reconciling itself energy-wise. So there's no such thing as original thought. There's no such thing as anything original that you can do. Everything is just a repeat of the original story. But that also sounds a little bit vague. So let's go with a simpler example. When soul first split so that it could see itself reflected, it split into two parts, the male and the female, the black and the white, the worshipper and the god. Now, the female side we've spoken about as Mara. She is the original god, and all the souls that are here to her are worshipper. But when you get to just this part of creation, where physical creation took place, there was again a recursion of God and worshipper, in that we have the God as we know God for this creation, and the smaller soul aspects of us that are broken off of him are the worshippers who reflect back to him. So the next level of that God to worshipper recursion would occur at the level of father to child or mother to child. Because while you are growing up and you are looking at your parent, that person is a God to you. As you move up through higher levels, other people will become gods. So your celebrities may become gods, and you will play out the recursion of God and worshipper with them. Why this happens is the energy release. So basically this echo goes out and it keeps echoing through all of creation, but every time somebody plays it out in their life, in their own way, when they reconcile it or they come to resolution about it, whatever that resolution is, whether it's grief or it's refusing to accept the loss or they manage to move past, that energy is collected and it manages to move up to higher levels. Eventually, all that energy will be collected up along with the original piece of the story, and they will balance each other out. That's the purpose of recursions. So another way that we see recursions playing out is if you go look at the Egyptian pantheon of gods, and you look at the Greek pantheon of gods, and you look at the Roman pantheon of gods, you'll notice that there are certain similarities. And those similarities are things like there is always a father god. In that situation, there's always a goddess of love. There's always a goddess of wisdom and a god of knowledge. And if you look across it, you'll see that the same repeats keep happening. You, within yourself, you'll see this at the level of your actual DNA. Your DNA at its smallest part contains all the information that is needed to make another complete you. But that complete you would be slightly different. If somebody had taken a piece of my DNA and cloned me at birth and brought that person into the room right now, the circumstances of our particular stories would have changed the expression of the recursion that we're actually playing out. One way that I like to think about recursions is to use the analogy turtles all the way down, which is also an analogy of faith for me. And the story originally goes that an old lady is questioned about her faith. And she's questioned about her faith system being that Earth is carried through space on the back of a giant turtle. And she's asked, well, what's underneath the turtle? And she says, you can't fool me, it's turtles all the way down. And when I think about recursions, I think of that. There's this layer of turtles, and at every single layer, the same set of stuff is going to happen again and again. So when you go look at the creation story, for example, we've got the original split, and then Eros and Erotica are happily creating all of creation, and then Eros gets bored and he wants to return to oneness, so he confuses it with being alone. How many twin flames are playing out the runner-chaser? The twin flame who keeps wanting to be alone, but the person who's chasing knows that they need to bring that twin flame into union for them to actually be complete. This twin flame keeps thinking that no, he has to be alone. That is a confusion of the recursion of the urge to oneness. In other regards, it plays out in many people's lives. So having a father who is abusive, who is sexually abusive, is a recursion of the fact that Eros created this part of creation under force by raping Gaia. That is what the incest is about. That is what the whole daddy-daughter thing on earth is actually about. Why we have such a special place for daughters is the recursion of the energy of how this part of creation was created. Now, you can go and you'll work out recursions, and recursions they'll slowly start to unfold for you. But the important thing that you've actually got to understand about recursions is that recursions allow you to be an empath on a cosmic level. So as light workers, we are currently empaths on our local levels as well as the global level. So we absorb energy from the people immediately around us, we release that through our own lives, and we stay good people. So we scrub it through us, okay? We do that locally for people around us, and we do that on a global level. When it comes to recursions, you play those patterns out simply because you agreed to play out that piece of the energy in the soul aspects you brought with you. That energy is then released up until the higher levels, and this is a part of the unification process. So a lot of those unresolved issues in your life, like why did my father leave us, and why was he such a heavy gambler, and then when he found his new family, he looked after them so well, but he still carried on treating us so badly, and he never apologized to us. You're playing that stuff out simply because you can handle it and you won't turn into a bad person at the end of it. That's all we're really here to do. We're here to scrub energy through our lives. And recursions is a way that we do that on a cosmic level. But also remember that recursions occur at every level, and the more you keep looking for them, the more you will understand them. There are a lot of subtle layers of recursions. I understand recursions more and more every single day. Give yourself some time with this. It's taken a few years for this to unpack for me. So keep going back to it, keep looking for it, keep looking for patterns that are repeats. And a recursion, simply put, is a repeat of an expression of energy that is displayed or expressed in a unique way. Love you madly, love you fiercely. See you on group. Mwah.